Hey, this is Mike Zwick. I am with my friend Kaelynn S. We'll just say Kaelynn S. I haven't seen her in a while, but her dad and I did a show together on the Truth Network with a group called Lantern Rescue. And now your dad is actually over in Ukraine, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
But you are working closely with Lantern Rescue, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What got you into this?
I would say kind of fell into it almost. Um, and I know that a lot of people will start out having, and this is something that I was talking to my coworker Gabby about with earlier, is a lot of times you think that there is, a super big drive to being called into ministry or into certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But in my life, I've seen more of how God just prepared me and pushed me into a direction more than me seeking it out. Because I worked for like a few different jobs before this one that really gave me the skill sets and the things that I needed to be able to do this job.
Mm-hmm.
And it was never something that I originally would have thought of or had in my plan.
Yeah.
But because of having that experience and stuff, it pushed me into this avenue where I have essentially God cultivated the passion for it in me more than something that I originally would have ever thought of. So I would say, I forgot what your question was because I started rambling, but I would say that I got into this position because God put me here, not because I pushed for it.
And God literally put you here because, one of the ministries, and anybody who follows me on here, I'm very passionate about the pro-life ministry. And I do believe that life begins at conception, but one of the things you were telling me at the beginning was that the doctors actually told your parents something before you were born. Is that right?
Yeah. So let me talk louder. My parents were told to terminate their pregnancy with me because I was supposed to be born without this arm. Yeah. And my parents ended up actually having to sign several different documents stating that they were ignoring what the doctors were telling them to do so they could have me. And then obviously I have my arm, so I don't really know. That's just a testimony to, how God works and how we don't know what God's plans are, and how every pregnancy is a blessing.
Absolutely. And if you've got your Bibles, and hope you do, or your phone or wherever it is, pull out to Matthew 25. I was looking at this morning, and it says in verse 31, it says, "When the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all the nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, and saying, Lord, when did we see thee hungered? When did we feed you? Or thirsty, and give you a drink? And he said, when you saw the stranger, you saw I was a stranger, you took me in. Or naked and clothed thee. He said, What you have done for the least of these, my brethren, he says, you have done it unto me. And Lantern Rescue is actually a group that saves children from child trafficking and human trafficking. And when you talk about the least of the brethren who really don't have a voice to speak out for them, this is what you do. Is that right?
Yes. Lantern Rescue. We are a counter-human trafficking nonprofit. We work in 11 different countries. That includes domestic work, but also in places in Africa, in places in the Western Hemisphere. So that looks like, multiple different types of human trafficking. I know a lot of times, you mentioned even when we first entered in, the movie Sound of Freedom. Yeah. And that is what people automatically think of these days. Before that, people kind of had like a mentality in their mind or a thought in their mind that it was something else, things like that. The types of trafficking that we see are, we see human sacrifice, which is voodoo worship. We see human trafficking in brothels, that type of thing.
Let me ask you this, Kaelynn, while you're talking about this. Is there a particular story that kind of sticks out in your head of something that was just really awful where you guys were able to help?
Yeah, the ones that are awful that really stick out in my mind are kind of the ones where we weren't able to get help as quickly as needed.
Okay.
Which is like I mentioned, the child sacrifice cases. We had one case where a mother was searching for her children, and later we found those two children dismembered. And in many cases like that, when you find the perpetrator, you